Israel Adesanya is taking on a very dangerous Joe Pyfer this weekend at UFC Fight Night in Seattle, and this is going to be an absolute must-win for the stylebender. Because coming off 3 losses in a row now, a 4th one here could be the last time we see the man who many consider to be one of the greatest middleweights of all time in the octagon. Which is crazy to even think about someone who was completely dominating the division not that long ago. This is a former champion and one of the best strikers we have ever seen in MMA. And now he's coming into this fight with people seriously starting to question if he's still that guy. But here's the thing. I do believe Izzy is still elite and is still one of the most skilled fighters in the world. But at this level, it has been shown being elite isn't always enough anymore. Because all it takes is one mistake. And that's exactly what we saw in his last fight. He comes out looking very sharp and calculated in moments, and then one exchange, one shot, changed everything. And now he's stepping in the cage with Joe Pyfer. And we already know this fight could be very dangerous for him. Because Pyfer isn't going to be the more technical or experienced fighter, but the power he brings makes him one of the most dangerous opponents you can give someone in Adesanya's position right now. This is the type of guy who only needs one shot, one mistake, one moment, and the fight's over. So now you got a situation where Adesanya is the better fighter on paper, but he's also the guy with everything to lose. And for Pyfer, he's in a situation with absolutely nothing to lose and only everything to gain. That's what makes this fight so interesting and honestly way more dangerous than what people are even talking about. And now I know a lot of people are already writing Adesanya off, saying that he's washed and saying that he's done. But I really don't see it like that. I just think he's going through a little slump right now. Because if you go back and actually rewatch his losses, you can see that the skill, the timing, and the striking IQ are all still there and still very elite. The problem is, at this point in time in Izzy's career, he doesn't really have any margin for error. He's been in so many 5-round wars against the most talented fighters in the world and has racked up a lot of miles on his body throughout the years. And now at this stage, one wrong read, one bad exchange can completely flip a fight. And that is exactly why this matchup with Joe Pyfer is so interesting, because he is the type of fighter that can create those moments. And while when you first take a look at this fight, it is pretty clear who the more skilled fighter is. Izzy is just more technical, more calculated, and way more experienced in these 5-round main event big fights. He's been in there with the best in the world and has seen every single style you can throw at him. And on top of that, he has shown in the past to have good enough takedown defense to keep this fight exactly where he wants it, on the feet. Which is going to be very important because in a pure striking match, it's going to favor Izzy every single time. There is very few people in the history of the whole sport who can go toe-to-toe with him on the feet. But at the same time, Pyfer is not going to be your normal matchup. He is not the type of guy who's going to be content with outscoring you for 3 to 5 rounds, but more of the type where every shot he throws is a kill shot. And when he finds it, he has the power to end the fight instantly. And that's going to create a completely different type of pressure because it's going to force Izzy not to focus on winning minutes at a time, but it forces him to have to try to be perfect throughout the entire fight. And that's where the concern comes in for me. We've seen him dropped multiple times in his last couple of fights, and not because he wasn't the better fighter, but because he does leave small openings that at times his opponents can exploit. When he's retreating on his back foot, he tends to reach out a lot with his hands, leaving his face exposed, which causes him to get clipped at times. Or even just in his last fight against Imavov, when he goes to switch stances with his hands low, he reaches out, which allows the opening that Imavov needed to get the knockout. And small mistakes like that against someone like Pyfer is all he needs to end it. So now you got this interesting dynamic to where on the feet, Izzy is going to be more in control in the fight, but at the same time, every exchange could be dangerous. And that's what makes this fight so risky for him. He's expected to win, but there's real danger every single second he's in there. So now when it comes down to my final prediction, I am going to be taking Israel Adesanya to win this fight by decision. I do believe over 5 rounds, he's just going to be the more active and technical fighter. And I do think he'll be able to control the pace of the fight. With Pyfer, he has a habit of trying to wait to land the perfect shot, looking for that one big moment. And against someone like Izzy, if you're not able to finish the fight, this is going to cost you rounds. But at the same time, I don't feel 100% certain with this pick. Because while I do think Izzy is the better fighter, I don't know if I can trust him just going off based off the last couple of fights to go all 5 rounds without getting touched a couple of times. And just like I said before, he does leave those small openings for him to get dropped. This fight could go very bad for him very quickly. And this fight isn't just about winning or losing for him, it's about what happens next. Because if Izzy wins, he proves that he's still elite, he is still a real contender, and he keeps his name in those big fights in the future. But if he loses, that's where things start to get real. Now you're talking about 4 losses in a row for someone who used to look unbeatable just a couple years ago. And there's going to start to be real questions about where he stands in the division. You already know that people are going to start talking if it's going to be his time to walk away from the sport for good. Nobody wants to see a legend like Israel, one of the greatest of all time to ever do it, go out like that. So I hope and I do believe he gets this one done. It's been far too long he's been out of the win column. We could be looking at a completely different future for him on Saturday night. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a more dangerous fight than what people think. So those are my final predictions. Now let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me, or do you think Pyfer has what it takes to pull off the upset? Drop your predictions in the comments down below. And if you enjoy breakdowns like this, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be covering all the big fights coming up. I appreciate you guys for watching. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.